right. Let's just get this Instagram feed going. And here we are. Once again, I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked. Even if you didn't ask, All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics related topics, including, but not limited to, friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic force, a range of science and physics related topics after we've learned all of the science, after we have conducted experiments to drive home all of those concepts. Then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned. They choose their cars, they document everything they can about their cars, they weigh the cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, they take a picture of their car, they shoot a video of their car. They enter the information into a spreadsheet, and then after they've made all their observations, then they set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we have a tournament, and they race the cars, and they observe how their cars perform. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select those same cars again, or would they make a different choice based on what they observed? That is All About Aerodynamics, and if you would like to find out more information about how to bring our science program to your school or your organization or your special event, all you have to do is go to our website, aerodynamics.com, and all the information is there. Or you can go to our Instagram account, Aerodynamics. The information is in the bio. And you can send me a message, contact me, and let me know that you'd like more information about how to bring our science program to your school or your organization or your special event. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about aerodynamics presents AtTheTrack.live, Wind Tunnel Wednesday. We have so many programs going on that every once in a while I get confused. No, this is Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is Wind Tunnel Wednesday? Well, I have the Funtech Labs 1/64th scale wind tunnel called the Windsible, and it is just that. It is a 1/64th scale wind tunnel. So I can put Hot Wheels cars into the wind tunnel, turn it on, crank it up, and see how the air flows over, under, and around these Hot Wheels cars before we take those to the track. And we can take a look at the aerodynamic profiles and see what the fastest cars have in common, and also what the slowest cars have in common. So we are able to make some observations and some determinations before we have our races on Saturday. What? Races on Saturday? Yes, AtTheTrack.live on Saturday. Every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, we have basically a Hot Wheels racing tournament. I bring out about half a dozen Hot Wheels cars, bring them out of storage, crack those open, take a look at those, and see which cars are going to be entered into the fleet. Then everyone who's watching has the opportunity to select a car they want to see race. So we take the cars that we have in storage, we take the cars that the viewers pick, and we hold a tournament and see which cars come out on top on our 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip. That is every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific on YouTube and Twitch. Can't do it on Instagram because of the ratio of the screen. We need the full widescreen in order to broadcast the races. So those races are only on YouTube and Twitch. But much like AtTheTrack.live, with Wind Tunnel Wednesday, you have the opportunity to select a car that you want to see put into the wind tunnel. All you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live. When you get there, you will have 3 options. One's a YouTube stream link, one's a Twitch stream link, but the third option is most important. And the third option is the option that is going to allow you to select a car. Now, I'm going to explain this slowly, because last week my mom was watching and she wanted to pick a car, but she didn't understand the process, and so she just threw out a random number, and we pulled that car and put it in the wind tunnel and checked it out, and there's no problem with that. But then when I talked to her later, I said, well, why did you pick that car? And she was like, well, I didn't know how to do it, how to pick a car, but I knew you had 800, so I just threw out a number. So you don't have to do that. The way you do it is you go to AtTheTrack.live, and then you're going to have three options. That third option that says choose a car is the one that's important, because when you select that option, you're going to be taken to this page. And on this page, all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet are listed. All of them. 800 and we're up to 850, about 855. There are 855 different Hot Wheels cars listed, and there are cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and some that are have just hit the shelves in recent weeks. All in here. We have trucks, we have fantasy cars, we have convertibles, we have cars that are apparently shaped based on spiders, we have hatchbacks, we have wagons, coupes, any kind of Hot Wheels car that you can think of. We have cars that are like hovercrafts, cars that are like boats, tanks, ice cream trucks, dairy trucks, old school 1935 classic Cadillacs. All the cars, any type of Hot Wheels car you can think of, we have represented in our fleet. And all you have to do is scroll through, find the car that either on Saturdays you want to race, or today that you want to see in the wind tunnel, and you take the number in front of the car. So if you think this little green Speedster is going to be the car, you can click on it, take a close-up look, see if that's the car that you want, and then all you have to do is take this number, in this case 130, you drop it in the chat, and then I will pull the car, and today we'll put it in the wind tunnel. On Saturday, we'll take it to the track. So this is a good opportunity to find a car, and maybe a couple of cars that you're thinking about, and narrow it down, because on Saturday, if you pick a car, you only get to pick one car. But today, you can actually take a look at a couple of cars, and then you, based on the aerodynamic profile, what you see in the wind tunnel, then you can say, you know what, I'm going with that car, or no, I'm not going with that car, I'm going with another car. And we actually are going to have someone who made that choice, or is in the process of making that choice. One of our viewers, Christopher, last week there were two different cars he was choosing between. There was a Ferrari and there was a Lamborghini. And so we put both those cars in the wind tunnel, and based on what he based on what he observed in the wind tunnel, he decided that he was going to go with the Lamborghini because it had a better aerodynamic profile than the Ferrari. And in the races on Saturday, the Lamborghini did very well. But all the cars, when they race, they ultimately have to take on, if they win the tournament. So we have the tournament with the cars I brought out of storage, cars the viewers pick. If a car wins that tournament, then it gets to take on our fastest in fleet car, which is the car that has won the tournament the previous week. And in the case of our current fastest in fleet car, it's been winning races for the last month and a half. And last year, it was champion for about 17 weeks. And that car is this one. It is the Blitz Speeder. And the Blitz Speeder is currently the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. We have not found a car that has been able to give the Blitz Speeder a competitive race in, not since last Thanksgiving. when the Gazella R managed to beat the Blitz Speeder somehow, some way, but the Gazella lost to the Blitz Speeder about a month and a half ago in a rematch, and the Blitz Speeder has not had much competition since. So when you pick a car, ultimately you're trying to find a car that is going to be able to compete with or beat the Blitz Speeder. But that is much easier said than done. We've had a lot of people make a lot of picks and carefully analyze the choices and make different choices based on what they've observed. And we still haven't found the car to beat the Blitz Speeder yet. You might find that car. And hey, Roughshod has been refining his picks and getting them straightened out, making different choices. And sometimes with some of the cars, you never know. You never know how they're going to perform. You can make your best guess based on everything you've observed. And so Roughshod is sticking with the Gazella GT. Now, I mentioned that it was the Gazella R that beat the Blitz Speeder. The Gazella GT is, I guess, like, it's a slightly different version of the Gazella R. And there's some little design differences, but we are going to see, we're going to put that car, and also he wants to see the Shark Hammer. So we're going to put the Gazella GT, which is his pick to race on Saturday, and the Shark Hammer into the wind tunnel. We're also, Christopher had two cars that he's trying to decide between, a McLaren F1 GTR and a Toyota GR Supra. We're going to put those in the wind tunnel, and what's going to happen is he's going to look at the results, the aerodynamic profile, and how the air flows over, under, and around those cars, and then make his final determination as to which car he's going with. So let's go ahead. We're always going to start with the Blitz Speeder because it's the champion, and basically because it's so fast, because it performs so well on the track, if you're going to pick a car, you want your car to have a similar aerodynamic profile to the Blitz Speeder. So we're going to go ahead and throw the Blitz Speeder into the wind tunnel so we can go ahead and look at, I would say, the ideal aerodynamic setup for a Hot Wheels car. And let me get it just lined up there, just right. And one of the things that we notice, that we note, that we see with the Blitz Speeder is that we don't have a sharp angle where the windshield is concerned. So with the Blitz Speeder, it's just a smooth line from the hood right to the windshield, up to the roof line, and off the back of the car, off this sort of large extended wing. And what we're going to see is what we tend to see. So let's go ahead and get this thing turned on, and then I can talk about what we're going to see. And we'll start it up. Pretty basic right there. Low speed, 67 miles per hour. And the lines that you're watching when we put these cars in there, it's usually, for most of them, it's going to be this first smoke line, and it's going to hit the car. That's usually going to be the smoke trail that hits the car. It's going to hit the car, and then the question is, all right, what happens next? So it hits the car, and for the most part, it's going up over the top. And as you see the air and the smoke flowing over the top, you don't see a gap between the smoke and the body of the car. It's pretty minimal. So we're going to turn this up, because what we're doing is taking into account the drag, and the faster an object moves through the air, the more impact that drag has on the car. So now we're up to 107 miles per hour. I'm going to turn it up a little more. Now we're at 134. So you see a little bit of separation right here, but that's not really that's separation right here is separation between the second smoke trail, this one, and the first one. The first smoke trail is still the airflow, it's adhering right to the body. It is staying connected and it is not detaching from the body of the car. And that is huge. That is very important. We're going to turn this up a bit. Let's go up to 161 miles per hour. And again, we're not seeing the air separate. And what you will see on some of the other cars we put in is there's going to be a point where the air separates from the body. And that is not what you want to see. Let's go on up to, we're at 188 miles per hour. And again, you see the flow, the separation between the second air stream, smoke stream, and the first. But what you don't see is the air detaching from the body of the Blitz Speeder. It's coming right, staying right along, adhered to the root, the hood, the windshield, the roof, and right off the back. And then as it comes up from the bottom, you see a little bit of turbulent air and a little vortex back here. But that is not that's not particularly significant. We're at 188 miles per hour simulated, and this is the Blitz Speeder. So if you're going to pick a car, what you want to see is you want to see the air flowing over, under, and around the car just like this. This is what you want to see, because ultimately the drag that we're getting is friction drag, and it's with the air that's basically rubbing against the body of the car as it pushes through the air and moves down the track. And in this case, the Blitz Speeder is able to minimize the impact of drag because of its shape. So whatever car goes in here, whatever car you pick, it should have a similar aerodynamic profile. Like, that's what you want. You do not want to see air flying off the car and the smoke trails going in all different directions, which is something we saw last week when we put in we had the Minecraft creeper car, this thing, and it's essentially like a shopping cart, or I don't know, like a storage tote on wheels, this thing. And the air was hitting the front of this and then just moving off in all kinds of different directions. It was getting caught up in this open area here, and that is not what you want. And when we raced this car on the track, we definitely saw that drag took the car completely out. And it was okay against the Minecraft minecart, which is basically a box on wheels, but beyond that, it was not anything special, and it wasn't anything different than what we would expect based on the aerodynamics. Now, we had other cars that we weren't sure about, that we didn't know what they would do. So we had this one, the later Crater. We'll take a little close-up look at this one. This was a fantasy car, kind of a hybrid crossover type vehicle, and it definitely had some interesting lines. The fact that it has the same kind of profile in terms of you go from the hood to the windshield to the roof, similar to the Blitz Speeder. So that's a plus. But then it's got this little raised part here. And the question is, as the air flows over the top, when it hits this part, is it going to just flow over and stay attached to the body? Or is it going to hit this? It also has this, I guess technically it'd be a spoiler. in the back, but it's raised up pretty high. And what happens when the air hits that? Does that create more drag? What happens to the air? Does it build up against this area? So we're going to throw this in the wind tunnel, because some of the cars we race first and then put in the wind tunnel. Some of the cars we put in the wind tunnel and then we race. So I'm just really curious to see what happens to the air when it comes over the top. Now, what I'm thinking, my guess, is that we are going to see the air start to detach right around this area. When it hits this sort of raised part right there, I think we're going to see the air start to detach from the body of the vehicle, but you never know. Well, you kind of know, but you don't know. So let's put this in here. And one thing we can notice is that the actual stance of this car, and it's slight, but you can see it, is that the front end is a little higher than the back end, just slightly. And that's something to note. Let me make sure this car is in there straight. And it looks to be pretty straight. All right, and we are going to see. I mean, the later crater, it did all right on the track. It wasn't anything that we needed to make a big deal about, but let's see what's happening here. So we are at 67 miles per hour, which is pretty low speeds. And one thing you see is that the air comes out, it hits the front, it builds up here, builds up the pressure, and then has to flow somewhere. It's got to go over, under, around the car. So here we see it's hitting, coming up over the top as expected, but because it's at a low speed, we can't really see too much more than that. Although we can see air trailing off from beneath the car, which is something we don't see with most of these Hot Wheels cars, because typically they're too low for that to even come into play. So here we go. We're going to turn this up. Let's get up to 107 miles per hour. And part of what we're seeing is that, like, you can see that the air is kind of fluttering right here past the windshield. The air is coming up over the center of the car, and then as it hits the windshield, it's going around the windshield, it's going over the windshield. And in this back area here, I think that is where we're starting to see a little separation, but not too much. Let's turn up the speed and see if we can see anything else. We're up to 147 miles per hour. And for the most part, the air is still following along the body of the car. When it does get to that top point, it does break out and start to come around the sides, which is why this top piece looks grayed out. It only looks grayed out because the smoke is coming around the sides. So let's see if I stop it, you can see that piece. Watch. And maybe if I put this behind it, see there's that raised piece, and it's right there. But when I turn the smoke on, it hits this, and then it starts to come around the sides. So it's a little tougher to see. But let's get back up to where we were. And see what we're looking at. So this is back up to 134 miles per hour. And the later crate, it didn't do poorly. And if I remember correctly, I think it won a race or two. And if you want to see how it actually did, you can go to our YouTube page, and on the Live tab, just go ahead and select AtTheTrack.live, and it's just last week's episode. All the episodes have time codes, so if you want to just jump to see how the later creator did, it's right there waiting for you. Turn this up a bit. Let's take it up. Now we're at 174 miles per hour, and there still is not a lot of separation from the body. Not like I was thinking there might be. There's some separation here at the back, but it's not bad compared to some of the other cars we're probably going to look at. This is a good. It's a good aerodynamic profile, but there's other issues with this car, which is why I wouldn't necessarily pick it to win races, but it is not bad, not all that bad, and it performed pretty well. If we had it may be our fastest kind of crossover vehicle, but it's definitely not fast enough to compete with some of the cars that we had on the track. So we will see what we've got with that one. And if you want to see how it performed, all you have to do, go to AtTheTrack.live, select the YouTube tab, and then click on the live tab, and you can see all the episodes and see exactly how the later creator performed. Now we're going to take a look at this one. This is the McLaren the McLaren F1 GTR. And that car is one of the two that Christopher, one of our viewers, Christopher, has picked that he wants to see in the wind tunnel. And I think I did a promo video for when I did the review of the Windsible, and I think I used the McLaren in that video. I don't know that it was this one, but I'm pretty sure I used the McLaren F1 in that video. But nevertheless, this is the one that Christopher wants to take a look at. And I think from a race standpoint, for our track, this is a good car because the back end is flat, and there's a whole reason why that's a good thing. We have this wing that is right at the roof line, which is something that we've seen that the cars that have done well on the track have in common. So everything's sort of set up and looks good on the surface for this car to do well. Let's go ahead and put it in the wind tunnel, take a closer look, and we will see what exactly it is that we've got going on here. Now, this McLaren, got it lined up. It's a nice looking car, if nothing else. So, all right, we've got this McLaren F1 GTR right here, ready to go. And let's lock this down and see what we've got. Okay, starting out 67 miles per hour. Nothing unusual. But what you can see is what I mentioned before, that usually we're only looking at this first line of smoke because the cars are sitting so low that it usually hits right at the top part of the bumper and then starts to come up over the top. So we're going to need to turn this up so we can see what we're looking at. So now we're up to 121 miles per hour, and this is still pretty good airflow, what we're seeing. Now what I can just even at this speed start to see is the air kind of detaching from the body of the car right in this area. Let's turn up the speed and see if we can get a little clearer view. We're up to 147 miles per hour. And so the air it's detaching from the body right about here, and then it's slipping right under the wing. So it's let's go up a little bit more. Let's go up to 174, and it's different than the Blitz Speeder. And if we're thinking about like the little details that matter in terms of the drag, in terms of the aerodynamics, all of that, what we're looking at is the air's coming from the hood to the windshield to the roof. And then where the roof on this car kind of slopes down, on the Blitz Speeder, it's pretty much a straight line. So the airflow just stays adhered to the body. Here, as the roof line starts to slope down, then the air is pulling off the top and it's separating from the body of the car. Now, how much of a difference is that going to make? It's hard to just say, but what we do know is that once the point at which the air separates from the body of the car, it starts to create lower pressure. Higher pressure is at the front, lower pressure towards the back, and that can create pressure drag. Now, it's not extreme in this case, but is it enough to make the difference in a race? It could be. But this is a pretty good aerodynamic profile it's got going on. We're going to turn the speed up to 201 miles per hour. And yeah, we've got a good solid profile there. So this is one of the cars that one of our viewers, Christopher, was considering, and it seems like a solid choice. And I wouldn't have any problems thinking this car would be performing well. But there's always other factors. So one of the things is, what is the car made of? How much does it weigh? Some of these cars are plastic bodies on metal bases. Some are metal bodies on plastic bases. And then some are metal on metal. The cars that are metal on metal are going to weigh more. And so that's going to be a factor on the track that is going to be... it could potentially be a problem. It just depends on how much the cars weigh. But if they are outside of the 32 to 36 gram weight area, then it's going to be a little more of a problem, because then gravity is going to do its thing on that car and impact it on the back end of our track. So let's see. So that was one car, the McLaren F1 GTR, that Christopher was considering. This is the other car. It is the 2020 Toyota GR Supra. And this car, both of these cars have raced in recent, let's see, if we're at 850, probably in the last 4 or 5 months, these cars have probably raced on the track. I don't remember exactly how they did, but we are going to take a look at the Supra. And this is the thing. If you want to select a car that you want to take a look at, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select the choose a car option, and then find the car that you would like to see race, and put that number in the chat. I will pull that car and we will take a look. So let's take a look at Christopher's other car, this potential other car, this Supra. Let's take a look at that in the wind tunnel and see, in some cases, like with the Ferrari and that Lamborghini last week, sometimes it's a little obvious which car has the better aerodynamic profile and which one it makes more sense to go with. So let's go ahead and lock this down and get this cranked up to our starting point of 67 miles per hour. And I mean, this is probably, of the cars that we have put in here so far today, this is the most traditional of a car. And it's not, I mean, yes, there is a McLaren F1 GTR, but I've never seen one just out on the road. So, but Supras, yeah, I've seen Supras. So at 67, we can already see that the air sort of detaches from the car right around the back of the roof line as it gets to the rear window. But let's turn the speed up and see if what we can see is a little more clear and obvious. We definitely see the air detaching in this back area. And again, wherever the air detaches, that's where you're going to have the pressure differential start. It's going to be an area of lower pressure at the back. If you have higher pressure at the front where the air is building up, lower pressure at the back, it creates pressure drag because the pressure is going to be moving from the high pressure area to the low pressure area. So this is going to be working against the direction the car is moving when it's racing. The car is moving forward. The pressure drag will be working, kind of pulling it backwards and pushing in that direction. We're at 121. Let's go up to 147. And again, it's not bad. But when you look at the Blitz Speeder, which is clearly by leaps and bounds like the fastest car that we've raced, you can see why you can't really afford to have this kind of separation and think that you're still going to be able to compete with or beat out the Blitz Speeder. It's just highly unlikely. It's like in sports where the underdog team has to do everything exactly right. They have no margin for error. And when you're racing a car like the Blitz Speeder, there's no room for error. You can't have, airflow separations that are significantly different from the Blitz Speeder. We're up to 188 miles per hour, and now you can really see the air's just pulling off right here. It's not bad, but it is noticeable. And if you compare it to the Blitz Speeder had that clean airflow line all the way from the front of the car all the way to the back, and then it tailed right off. So that is what we're seeing. This is at 161 miles per hour. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab roughshods, that Gazella GT, and that Shark Hammer, which is an interesting car. So I'm going to grab those two, and then I'll be right back, and we will put those in the wind tunnel and see what we've got. In the meantime, can take a look at this Supra and see what it's doing. All right, let's wind this down here. And so now that he has had a chance to see both of those cars in action, we will find out on Saturday which car that Christopher's deciding to go with. Personally, if I was just looking at those, just the aerodynamic profile between those two, the Supra and that McLaren, I would go with the McLaren, but it's not my choice. But in looking at the way the air was flowing over, under, and around that car, even though there was a little bit of separation on the McLaren, there was a little bit more with the Supra. And that separation is going to lead to a pressure differential. So if I can pull up, let me just show here kind of what we're talking about. We are talking about this, and basically the air that's moving over the top of the car is moving slower, and it creates higher pressure. And then the air that's moving under the car is moving faster and creates lower pressure. And basically the air that moves under the car, it's the Venturi effect, that when air tends to speed up when flowing through a constricted area, and then the pressure drops. Well, we have higher pressure on the top, lower pressure on the bottom, and the air is trying to move from high to low, and that actually helps with downforce. But in the front of the car, we also have high pressure where the air is building up, and then it's moving across the car. When that air separates, it creates lower pressure at the back end. And again, the pressure, it's trying to move from high to low. So if the car is moving, if we're looking at this picture and the car is moving to the right, well, the pressure drag is trying to pull it basically to the left, trying to pull it backwards, and it's gonna work against it. And then we have the Coanda Effect, which explains how moving fluids like air tend to follow a curved surface. So that's what we see most clearly with the Blitz Speeder, where the air is just following that curved surface, that line, that roof line of the car right off the back. And that's pretty much the best example we've seen in the wind tunnel period. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Shark. Is it the Shark? The Shark Hammer? Yeah. So this one is it's a Hot Wheels ID car, and I'm pretty sure it's an ID car. Yeah, it is. And so the ID cars were a line of Hot Wheel cars that had this little chip in there that communicated with special tracks and accessories that Hot Wheels put out. And the line didn't last. I think the cars were a little more expensive, the track components were expensive, and it just didn't seem to catch on. So, but the thing I loved about these is that they were premium cars, but they had plastic wheels. A lot of times what you see is with the premium cars, they have real riders, the rubber wheels and tires that create too much friction and don't allow the cars to perform on our tracks. So this was the best of both worlds for, as far as I'm concerned. I had a premium car with premium components and then plastic wheels. So that was ideal. Now this one, the back. So Roughshod was saying he wanted to see what the back of the car looked like, and it's got this shark fin. And on our track, this would be the only part that would be touching the launching block, which means that this car, it's hard to tell what kind of launches it would get. It definitely, I can't say definitely, probably. It probably wouldn't be consistent launches. And cars that don't get consistent launches, it's anybody's guess. They could get a perfect launch and win the race. They could get a bad launch and bounce around the track, and who really knows. But aerodynamically speaking, this would probably be a good car, and we're going to find out. But even though the aerodynamics would be good, it probably wouldn't be good racing on the track. But let's go ahead and take a look at it in the wind tunnel, and we will see what exactly happens. Hey, Christopher, we were talking about you. We are already we put both of those cars into the wind tunnel, and once we finish this episode, you'll be able to go back and watch it on YouTube. You can see the replay and you can see the results, and then you'll be able to make your pick for Saturday's races. There were definitely some advantages, disadvantages that we saw with both of those cars, but you'll have to be the judge ultimately and decide which car that you want to see race on Saturday. So with this Shark hammer, we've got it at 67 miles per hour, and can't really tell too much, so let's go ahead and just turn this speed up. And what we're seeing is that you've got this fin in the middle, and the air is hitting that, but the air is coming up over the hood, and then it gets to this fin area, and then it starts to pull off right here. It is not following along the body of the car, and it seems that fin is kind of the thing that's disrupting the airflow, because you see right past the fin, the air just starts to pull off and up and away from the body of the car. And that is definitely not what you want to see. And this is going to create what we were just talking about, an area of lower pressure that is going to increase pressure drag and serve to slow this car down. And this is not what you want to see, because as the airflow slows down, you get this flow separation, and it just separates from the body. With the Blitz Speeder, that air stayed attached to the body all the way to the end of the car. So I think that this fin not helping at all, and you can maybe see that fin is a little wider than it's almost kind of got more of a triangular shape, and it's hard to see on camera what is happening, but I can definitely tell you that that's where the air is pulling off. So that's at 121. If I turn this up to 161, now you can absolutely see the air separating right here, just past the fin. It's pulling off. What we would want to happen ideally is for the air to stay adhered to the body all the way down to the end and then off, but it's pulling off midway, and that just isn't any good. That is not going to help. It's going to ultimately increase the pressure drag, slow the car down. And like I said before, when you're talking about, you're facing cars like the Blitz Speeder, and as I turn this up to 188, you can just see even more separation. So this car is not likely to be able to beat out the faster cars that we see on the track. The Draftnators, the Whip Creamer 2s, the Track Tune, the Gazella R, etc. It's just not. That is not exactly what you're going to want to see. But we do have another car, one more car to throw in the wind tunnel, and this is the one that Roughshod has actually picked. This is the Gazella GT, and this is the one that he wants to see race on Saturday. Seems that Christopher is going with the McLaren, and so these are two cars that you will see race on Saturday at the Track Live, 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube and Twitch. Those cars will go up against the other cars that I introduce into the fleet, and we will see if any of those cars can ultimately take out the Blitz Speeder. So we have the Gazella GT right here, and this car is definitely, like, if we're just talking about the setup, I think we're gonna see the airflow come up over the top. It's gonna hit this windshield, come right over the top, and much like the Blitz Speeder, the roof line doesn't slant away too far. It kind of stays high. It doesn't have a steep drop off there. Now, this car, unlike the Gazella R, it does not have a wing. And so, but it does have this flat bumper right here. It's a little, just above this white part, that bumper, you can see it right there. It's flat. That is going to be pressed up against the launching block. That's a good sign, because that is pretty much going to, I would say, ensure that this car gets a good and consistent launch. We also have the splitter in the front, which is something we saw on the Gazella R. So these cars are very, very similar. So let's go ahead and throw this into the wind tunnel and see what we're looking at as far as the aerodynamic profile of this car, and how similar is it going to be to the Gazella R, and more importantly, how close is it going to match the profile of the Blitz Speeder. So let's get this in there and take a look. This lined up right here, and this car, you can just look at the profile. This is very similar to what we saw with the Blitz Speeder. And now there is a bit of a drop off right here where the Blitz Speeder doesn't have it. It's very slight. You can see from the top of the roof, it comes down a little. So the question is, when that air comes up over the top, is it going to separate from this point off right here, or is it going to stay adhered to the body right off the back end? And there's no spoiler on the back, so we'll see what happens. And lock it in. Let's fire this thing up. We are at 67 miles per hour, pretty basic, and we are not seeing anything that would cause us any level of concern. I am just checking 766, just checking a number on here, because 766. Let's go up to 107 miles per hour. And still not seeing any noticeable flow separation. That's a good sign. Let's take it up. Going up to 134. And still, we see a little line of separation here, but that's just the separation between the second smoke trail and the first. So again, the air sticking right to the body. Let's turn it up. So we know that drag increases with speed. So we are now up to 161 miles per hour. Not seeing anything of concern. This looks good. We're up to 188 miles per hour. Still looking good. This is a positive sign for Roughshods pick. That air hitting the front, coming right over the hood, right to the windshield, to the roof, and right off the back. And we're not having any issues. This is very much in line with kind of what we saw with the Blitz Speeder. We're up to 215 miles per hour. And you see that second smoke line, now that separation's a little bigger. But as far as that first smoke trail, right over the top, not seeing any separation. This is a very, very, very positive sign. Because this is what you want to see. If you are picking a car, this is exactly what you want to see. And let me grab the Gazella R. So, when we look at these cars, and we take a look at the Gazella GT, which is this one, then we are talking about, this is the Gazella R. That is the one that was formerly our fastest in fleet champion. And it's black, and so it's a little hard to see some of the details. But when you look at this car, and you look at the Gazella GT, really it seems to me that the main difference is, really, it seems to be with that wing on the back. And so how much of a difference will that make? Does that make? We are going to find out on Saturday, but the Gazella R, the black one, was our fastest in fleet champion for 16 weeks, and then it was beaten by the Blitz Speeder. But it's the only car to have beaten the Blitz Speeder. So now, with Roughshods' pick of the Gazella GT, we're going to find out if the Gazella GT can match the Gazella R's performance. And really, like I said, the only difference seems to be the fact that one has a wing and the other does not. So we can see here, let's go ahead and take a look. We'll take a look at the Gazella R in the wind tunnel and see what this is going to do. All right, let's see any differences we note, just based on the fact that this car has that wing in the back. What difference, if any, will that make? Let's see. So we are at 67 miles per hour, pretty much where we start. And let's go ahead and turn this up. We can see the air hitting the front of the car, that high pressure area right there in the front before the air has to move over, under, and around the car. We are up to 107 miles per hour. Did we introduce the McLaren F1 and 20? Yes, we those two cars are in the fleet, and they have raced in the past. I just don't remember exactly how they did, but that McLaren, your pick, will be racing on Saturday, Christopher. Let's see, we've got this up to 130 147 miles per hour. And it's tough. We've got a lot going on at the back end. We've got a lot of the smoke that's coming from underneath the car. And it's hard to tell. So it's hitting the front. Some of the air is obvious. The smoke is obviously moving through because there's open areas at the front of this car are moving through, and it's coming up from the bottom. But a little more concerned with the top. We're gotten it up to 174 miles per hour. And what we see here is not really a lot of separation. It's almost exactly what we saw with the Gazella GT. Air is coming up over the hood, windshield, roof, pulling down. Even though there's that slight dip, it's not really impacting it all that much. Pulling off, and looks pretty good. We're going up to, right now we're at 201 miles per hour. Got a little turbulence. It's a little that we can see right here in the front, but for the most part, we are seeing almost the exact same thing that we saw with the Gazella GT, just minus the wing. So these two cars, very similar, except for that one attachment, that one detail. How much of a difference will that make? We will find out on Saturday when these cars race and hit the track, because if all things are equal except for that wing, then we should expect the Gazella GT to end up in the finals facing off against the Blitz Speeder. That seems to be what we would be looking at, but maybe that wing makes a difference. I don't know. We're going to find out. And if you would like to participate, if you would like to watch the races, if you want to have a car in the race, you can do that at the Track Live, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Pacific on YouTube and Twitch. How do you get there? Go to AtTheTrack.live. You'll have three options. One is the YouTube stream link, one is the Twitch stream link, and the final option that you will have the opportunity to choose is the option that says choose a car. When you select that option, you will be taken to our page where all of our cars are listed. There are 855 different Hot Wheels cars. If you can't find the Hot Wheels car that you want to race in this group, I don't know what to tell you. If there's a specific car you're looking for, unfortunately our website, the search function is bad, and so I took it out because it wasn't working properly. So if you know the name of the car that you're looking for, that you want to see race, all you have to do is you can just send me a DM. You can contact me however you need to contact me, and let me know which car you're looking for, and I'll let you know immediately whether or not we have that car in the fleet. And if we don't have it, and you're convinced that that is a fast car, the car you want is a fast Hot Wheels car, I'll go online and order it if it's not too expensive. But I want to try to find the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And right now, without question, until I'm proven wrong, the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet, on this planet Earth, is this one. It is the Blitz Speeder. And if you think you can find a faster Hot Wheels car, if you think you know a faster Hot Wheels car, let me know. I will pull that car. We will race it. We'll settle it on the track. The thing to remember, though, is that our track is a flat drag track. It is not a gravity track. So there's different things to consider. And the main thing that you have to remember when we're talking about a drag track is that a heavier car is not necessarily the way that you want to go. And I saw OC Hot Wheels, I think that I think that he had posted this Matchbox, this station wagon, which I love. This fake wood paneling. It's slow. It's not fast on our track at all. But I just love that. That's one of the cars that I love for whatever reason. But on our track, since it is not a gravity track, on a gravity track, the cars are going to start off a little slow, and then gravity is going to help those cars increase their speed. Our track is a flat drag track. The cars fire out of the launcher. The cars they're not going to be any faster at the later stages of the race than they are at the beginning. They're actually, once they come out of the launcher, they are going to start to slow down. And there's going to be 3 factors and 3 forces that influence how quickly they slow down. That's drag, friction, and gravity. And with the drag, that's what we're looking at in the wind tunnel. And we're kind of able to assess the impact of drag on the different cars, which is why we put them in there. When the cars are racing out, they're getting the same amount of force coming out. So then weight does matter, which is why a heavier car is not necessarily the option to go with, because in order to maintain that speed, the heavier car would need more force, but it's not getting more force. It's getting the exact same amount of force as whatever car it's racing. And if that car happens to be lighter, then that other car is going to have an advantage. It's going to be moving faster. What does happen is if you have a car that is very light at the back end of our track, then drag starts to impact the lighter car, the lighter, smaller car. And it appears that those cars slow down at the end and the other cars speed up and pass it. It's not exactly what's happening. Yes, this car is slowing down, but the degree to which it slows down gives the illusion that the other car is picking up speed and passing it. No, it's just that this car is slowing down significantly. And the more significantly a car slows down, the more it will look like the other car has gained speed and passed it. So if you have a heavy car, you see a similar thing happen. Heavy cars tend to slow down toward the back end of our track while the other car passes it by. That's an illusion that makes it look like the one car is moving faster and picking up speed, when what's really happening is the heavier car is slowing down, and the more dramatically it slows down, the more it is going to appear that the other car is just gaining speed and passing it. So there's a fine line, and it's one of the things that you can't know until we get to just before the races on Saturday, when we actually weigh the cars. And if your car comes in between 32 grams and 36 grams, you're in a good position. If your car weighs more than 36 grams, it's probably going to be one of those cars that slows down toward the back end of the track. If your car is lighter, if your car is like 25 to 30 grams, that's pretty light, especially in the 20s. If your car is in the high 20 gram range, you're probably going to see it at the back end of the track be impacted by drag and start to slow down. So what you want to do is, you're only going to be able to observe so many factors. You can see the aerodynamic profile right here. Christopher had 2 cars he was thinking about, and we put those in the wind tunnel, and we could see the differences. Last week, there was a Ferrari and a Lamborghini that he was choosing between. We put those in the wind tunnel. You could see definite differences and benefits to picking the Lamborghini over the Ferrari. So you can take a look at the aerodynamic profile, get an idea of how you think the car would perform based on that. And beyond that, everything else is settled on the track. We'll find out the weight just before the races, and then we will get our races together. So if you want to see the races, AtTheTrack.live, every Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, you can select a car, go to AtTheTrack.live, scroll through, find the number of the car, drop that number in the chat. I will pull the car, and we will be ready to race. So I'm going to take cars out of storage. We've already got Roughshod's pick. We've got Christopher's pick. We're waiting for your pick. and we will have a good time racing cars on the track. If you would like more information about our science program, all about aerodynamics and how to bring it to your school or your organization or your special event, you can just go to aerodynamics.com and you can learn more about the program and more details. Or you can visit us on Instagram, Aerodynamics, and you can contact me and let me know what it is you want to know. I'll be happy to give you the information you need. So we are here every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Every Saturday at the Track Live, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And that is it. So for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, I am Coach James. For All About Aerodynamics, I am Coach James. And for At The Track Live, I am Coach James. And until next time, I will see you at the races.